Okay. My name is Phoenix Duncan, and I am the Education Coordinator at the Boys and Girls Club of Lenawee. Been here since May, so this is approaching my 4th month.
And how many students participated in the reading initiative this time?
On average, day to day, the ones that at least participated in 3 days of the program were probably about 25, but we had a total of over 50 that participated in the program in its entirety.
And why did you decide to be a partner in this initiative with Cradle to Career?
Well, we thought that it was extremely beneficial to help them start to hone in on their reading skills, especially with the statistics that show that they start to lose these skills throughout that age group. And so we wanted to really help our students over the summer to be able to not lose any of those skills.
And do you think that this program did that? If you were to predict and look at their scores, what would you predict?
Honestly, I think absolutely, just because if you look at the first week, some of them didn't even know how to hardly write their name, and I mean that's their age group. They're 6 and 7, and so then by the end, it was no problem to write their name. They were asking for help with things like in a sentence versus "Will you write this for me?" They were able to identify certain words throughout the books and whatnot. So we definitely think that it helped.
What did you notice about their level of engagement? Even thinking about from the beginning to the end. Did the level of engagement increase? Were they motivated in some areas more than others?
Beginning, it was also new to them, so they were just thinking, what's going on? This is a new space. We use the library for the first time, so that was awesome for them, and it was only for their age group. And so there was huge engagement at first, and that engagement continued over time. It wore off a little bit with the read aloud because the other 2 areas, they're able to do something hands-on. So with the poetry, they always used their switchboards, so they were always doing something with their hands, and then obviously with making their own books, they're literally making their own books. So read aloud was probably the most difficult, just because they had to sit and silently listen for 15 minutes, and they wanted to more touch things and answer for me and things like that. But once you did activities throughout the content of the books, we did that throughout midsummer. For example, we read Seed to Plant, and we actually went out the 3rd day and planted some flowers. And so they loved that. They loved incorporating what they just learned through the first 2 days in their book into an actual activity. So it's just we found that making sure things were hands-on in all stations for them really benefited them as far as their engagement. But overall, they were pretty engaged. There were times when we were short-staffed, and so we couldn't do one of the days throughout the program, and we would hear some screaming during our rotation time. Why aren't we doing reading? And so even though someone complained about it, they did really love it.
And I see you have some samples in front of you. What can you tell us about the writing portion of the initiative?
So I have a first week book, and so what we kind of did, we explained to them, go ahead and make your own book, excuse me, and then we had just kind of a sample book, but we didn't really tell them things like make sure this is here. We wanted to see what they knew as a baseline. And so first and foremost, you can see that this child didn't understand that we don't flip pages this way, and so they have the binding on the opposite side. They did have an illustration and somewhat of a title, but there's no author, there's no illustrator. They didn't put a difference in the 2. And then they don't utilize this page, and they kind of just mimicked the title and then maybe a couple more words. And so very generic, not much color. And then go to the last week of the program. This is by another member, and title, illustration, and the author. And then you continue on with hers, utilizes both pages. Make sure to have some reading as well as usually as well as an illustration, page number, and then you can just continue on. And they're full sentences. Of course, there's the grammatical errors, but they're 6 and 7. But excellent work as we got to the last week. So there's always page numbers, there's illustrations, there's color within them. They're actually telling a story, so it's really great. So it's really good when we got to the last week.
Do you think their teachers are going to notice, and maybe not a difference because they didn't know them, from the previous year,
Mm-hmm.
but do you think if you kind of put a student who participated in the reading initiative next to someone who didn't, do you think there'd be a difference?
I think so. If they were the same baseline, if one of them was at the same level as the other and one participated in our program, one didn't, absolutely. Because even when we would have newer members come in that